This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And today he's going to be taking a look at the weaponry of 2013's Battlefield 4.
This, I think, is the most interesting weapon that we've seen from Battlefield 4, in that it is, in fact, made up.
If you want to see more of Jonathan reacting to Battlefield guns, make sure to subscribe and check out our videos on Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. But you know, watch this video first. If there are any other games, guns or mechanics that you guys want to see Jonathan break down, let us know in the comment section below, and if you'd like to help out the Royal Armouries Museum and continue to support Jonathan's work, check out the links in the description of this video. Right, over to Jonathan.
Right, we've got the F2000, the FN F2000, and it's a really quite interesting design. I have one here. Here it is. I've seen it described as the tactical tuna, as in tuna fish, because it is an odd shape, or you might say an odd fish in British English. So pretty much as it appears in the game. Something I noticed pretty much right away was how the upper receiver seems to be quite shiny, almost looks like it's metal in the game. In real life, at least, it is all glass reinforced polymer, which makes it really quite lightweight for what it is. It's got quite a long 20-inch barrel in a short package, which of course is the whole bullpup idea. I did have to check, but the magazine, the reload animation in the game is correct. You press in and pull out, and then all you have to do is insert the magazine. We see that the character give it a slap as well, which, depending which armed force you may or may not have been part of, may or may not have gotten you a slap. We've got a sniper rifle here. This is the Desert Tech SRS, or Stealth Recon Scout. Game name is generic, of course, 338 Scout. It does come in 338 Lapua Magnum, among other calibers, and it is a bolt-action bullpup sniper rifle depicted pretty faithfully in BF4. I think it's more of a general issue with the Battlefield games, and it may just be my perception, but all the ones I've ever played seem to have really pronounced bullet drop. Although they're quite very large open maps, I think something super powerful like a 338 Lapua has a relatively flat trajectory out to some distance, whereas we seem to get a fair bit of drop. Okay, we've got here a rarity in the real world, not so much in games. I did look up the list, and there's at least a dozen different games that have featured this. This is the MP412 Rex. This is an interesting design, especially from an historical standpoint, because from the 1870s, there were a number of designs, famously the Smith & Wesson No. 3, that broke open. So you'd press a catch. All of those had, including the Rex, had automatic ejection. So the ejector, star-shaped ejector, pushes up on the rims of the cases and they go flying out. And it's quite fun in the game. I've never seen it done with the real one, because I've never seen a real one, but in the game, the way they sort of all flower out with a flourish is quite pleasing to watch. And it's interesting because part of the reason we moved away from that was the strength of the frame. For increasingly more powerful revolver cartridges, a solid frame with a swing-out cylinder was better. With modern materials, you can in fact design a break-open revolver that is strong enough to handle, in this case, 357 Magnum revolver cartridges. So it's a real sort of sci-fi looking design, but was never produced. None exist in the UK. I don't think any made it to the States. Maybe there's a sample here or there, but I've never seen one if so. Is it me, or is the player character bringing cartridges to the loading ports which magically open on their own? Is it me, or is that what's happening? I don't think it's me. I think they're opening on their own. There are various things wrong with that. By the way, this is the UTS-15, which is a real thing, as I'm sure people who've played the game already know. It does work pretty much as depicted. So seven rounds in each side in tubes, and that's what we see getting loaded. It's a bit confusing as to what's actually going on. In the real gun, you have to stoke up the 2 pipes with 7 rounds, and then you put the last one onto the conveyor, and then you close the pump grip and load the final shot. Now that's a safety thing more than anything. So what we may be seeing here that I'm just not quite catching is that the first round, the 15th round, gets loaded first. So it's depicted pretty well, but the reload is slightly irksome. This is what I remember using in Battlefield 4 myself, out of curiosity as well as out of interest to see if it was effective in the game or not. The XM25, which received the slightly macho name of Punisher. So this was a spin-off of the old objective infantry combat weapon of late 90s, early 2000s. Somewhat as we see in the clip there, the 25mm grenades are not big enough in terms of explosive payload to have the same sort of effect as, say, a 40mm grenade. So you've got this big, heavy weapon that can't fire bullets, can only fire 25mm grenades, but they don't really have the explosive power. But the really interesting thing about it is something that was implemented in the game, which is the fusing, the sensor fusing system, which is the big bulky sight thing on the top. And in the game, you aim the distance you want to hit, beyond which you want to hit, and then you aim up and shoot, and the grenade airbursts, I think, 3 in-game meters beyond that, which from the promotional material put out by the makers of this, does seem to be somewhat how it would have actually worked in real life. DICE did a good job of representing this very interesting capability of putting explosives, putting giant explodey bullets where you need them to go. But are they powerful enough? So an interesting moment in time, sort of 2013, when this thing was actually a viable prospect, and it's not anymore. I think we've spoken before on this series about the Master Key underbarrel shotgun. Well, as a secondary weapon to the rifle that it's attached to, and as a way to be able to take down door hinges as a breaching weapon. There was clearly enough of a niche use for that the US government decided that they wanted a dedicated short shotgun that could be attached to an assault rifle for infantry use. And that's what the M26 is. And it's as you can see, very compact, manually operated. So as we see there, pump action, but with a great big bolt handle. And that's whether it's attached to a rifle or, as we see in the clip, attached to its own standalone stock to be used as, well, a standalone weapon. We saw some quite impressive long-range kills there, which I'm sort of pleased by, in that shotguns do not create the huge spread that we see in games. We talked about that on here before. But I'm almost surprised that, given how short that barrel is, that we are getting such lethality at distance with guys presumably wearing body armor. That's quite an effective weapon. But of course, that's balanced by being quite slow. I can't help feeling this is a bit of copycat from Modern Warfare with its 1887 lever-action shotgun that seemed completely incongruous with the setting. Because this is, and it's called the Mayor's Leg. The Mayor's Leg was invented for a 1950s TV series with Steve McQueen in it, I think. That was a Winchester 1892 cut down, and then it kind of became a sort of meme in a way, and was in lots of other series and movies. So it's a pistol, it's a lever action rifle cut down to act as a pistol, hence it's in the handgun category in the game, hence it's in 44 Magnum, which is a pistol caliber. This is, I think, based on a Marlin lever action design, and a modernized one with Picatinny rails all over it, and a really weird looking lever loop, which I don't think is based on anything from the real world. And it, as far as I can tell, it's really not very good either. So best of luck to those of you still using that one. Oh, That's a good clip, because we've got, as well as the dreaded mare's leg, we've also got two weapons to talk about, both of which have an Israeli origin. The Tavor X95, or Micro Tavor MTAR 21. And to jump to the other weapon, the shoulder mounted rocket launcher, that was originally the B300, which was developed by IWI when they were IMI, Israeli Military Industries. And the reason it looks so short is, we've probably gathered from the reload animation, that the back end is actually the rocket munition in a housing. Now, interestingly, that's being fired from a parachute. Now, recoil-wise, that would be doable, but you're aiming the back end up into your chute, which is at the very least is going to disturb the direction that you're parachuting in, and might actually shred your lines, tangle your lines, put a hole in the canopy. I don't know. I'm not a parachutist. I wouldn't want to try it, and I don't think it's in anyone's manuals. So back to the Tavor. So this is a bit of a snapshot in time, because this early version of the X95 wasn't really in use for very long before it got upgraded to the new version, and everyone else is using the standard Tavor. So Battlefield captures that and then projects it forward to 2020, by which time there aren't going to be many people using this specific variant. This is the sort of weapon you would want if you require to be able to shoot bullets out to sort of 300 meters, but your main job is to carry a big, well, what we call light weapons, but they're not that light, like the small. So your primary role is putting large munitions on target, but you need something to be able to either defend yourself, or in a pinch to fight like infantry with, if required. Something compact like this is ideal. All right, we'll pause. Being a game whose conceit is the US versus China, obviously we need some Chinese weapons in the game. So this is obviously what this is. The QBB-95 or Type 95 light machine gun. Unfortunately, we don't have any of the modern generation Chinese weapons in the Royal Armouries collection, which means I don't have any experience to offer to make any real insights. But it's from the available material, it's a pretty close approximation. The only thing that's definitely wrong is that it's got a Picatinny rail on the carrying handle, which I'm as sure as I can be, has not been done, not to that generation of Chinese weapons anyway. I believe with their latest generation, as most countries in the world are, they are looking at integrating that standard, because it's become, from being an American standard, it's become a NATO standard. So it has to be in the game, really, for what it is. And is it an accurate representation? Ask someone from China. This, I think, is the most interesting weapon that we've seen from Battlefield 4, in that it is, in fact, made up, as they've done here with a bit of crystal ball gazing from 2012, 2013 to 2020 when the game is set. There's no real reason to assume that the Russians would adopt an AK-12 based DMR, which is what this is. So a bit of near future speculation that didn't really go as planned, because the Russian forces are still using the SVD, SVDS, and SVDM alongside increasing numbers of the AK-12, but it's not the AK-12 that this is based on. That was done away with. Now, that's not the developer's fault. The real world changes after you make a decision, and there's nothing you can do about that. If you check the description, you'll find links to 2 different ways in which you can support the Royal Armouries and everything that we do, including the work that we do here with GameSpot. Hope to see you again next time.